Everything's looking good, man. We are having fun. I have to tell you, this has been a phenomenal week for me. I just came back from a funeral. And that's the most amazing thing is that, celebrating a funeral outside the United States and Thailand, it's a celebration of life, which what I think is what it should be, rather than a lot of grieving. And it was like a huge party with a PA system and everybody coming to eat 7 nights in a row. And I finally just got back home, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. So welcome to, and this is our 91st show. So welcome. And this is the first time you're here. Basically, we talk about current events and how it affects our industry and our lives. And everything you hear is an opinion. And with that, hey, how's everybody doing?
And we're on the air.
Yeah, we're on the air. We're on the air. It's been an exciting week news-wise, what's going on. But I guess I'll start off with a letter from Michael Strickland. And if you guys have seen it right now, the Music Act is in the House. It's in the House. And that's the House of Representatives, not just the House. It's HR 6701, in case you're tracking numbers. And they're both bipartisan. They're both bipartisan efforts in regards to getting money into the industry, because not everybody is healed yet. There's a lot of people that lost a lot of money in the last 2 years, but we're back on, we're back on the mend. Let me just, if you haven't seen it, the original bill was from Blackburn and Haggerty, and now Cortez Masto, which is our senator here in Las Vegas. And basically, it looks like they've got $2.4 billion remaining in the SVOG fund, and that's what they're trying to get out to us guys. So basically, it's, if you haven't seen the article, you haven't seen it, I'll send you the link. Other than that, but it's pretty impressive that we all should be able to get some money out of this if we lost money during the pandemic, which it seems to me we all did. But having said that, the Super Bowl, Los Angeles, 70,000 fans in the stadium. And it seemed to me, I heard there was supposed to be masks in the stadium, but I didn't happen to see any masks. Did anybody see any masks?
No, there were no masks.
So it seems to me like the cat now is out of the bag. The horse has left the barn, and it's. I think we're really moving forward right now as a society, that we're all tired of being locked up. And it seems like as the virus seems to, somebody said it's no longer a pandemic, it's something else. What did they say? An endemic. And with that in mind, I think that, I'm looking at all the shows that are being announced right now, and there's tons of shows that are being prepared as we go into the summer season. Like, for example, let's see, the Luminaires are going on the road, the Black Keys are going on, Mary J. Blige is doing a tour, Dave Matthews is out on the road, Stevie Nicks is out on the road, Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe, the Hollywood Bowl just announced their lineup with Billie Eilish and Diana Ross and Ricky Martin's, Loggins and Messina, Herbie Hancock, Grace Jones, Jason Aldean is going back out on the road. He's doing 34 cities. Kevin Hart is back on the road. He's doing 30 arenas. That's pretty impressive for a comedian to be able to do arenas. I got to give him a lot of credit for that. Third Eye Blind is back out on the road. The Foo Fighters. So, that's just a sampling of what's going on right now. Are you guys busy?
Yeah. Thanks to Bruce, I was busy.
And Bruce, what about you?
Well, January kind of dropped like a fly last minute, but I did one gig while Dave was doing the other one that I would have done if I didn't have anything else to do. Actually, the biggest reason, the first reason why I called Dave is because, they had a Digico and a Avid, and I'm not that familiar with those. I'm a Yamaha guy, so I told the project manager, to call David and listen to his opinion, and whatever whoever he recommended, or if he couldn't do it, or if he could do it, that he would be the guy to use. And so they did. So that was really cool.
I did.
I went and did. Yeah, that was great. So I was very happy that worked out. And you were, you work regularly for PRG, so I figured that was a shoe in as far as their booking, paying you and everything. That wouldn't be a problem. So
I'll say
I
this.
got
I was going to say at the Avid, there's no Dugan on the Avid.
Yeah, well, Gary mentioned something about that. I said, which Avid does he have? Does he have a Dugan inserted on it or something, on an outboard Dugan? And Gary said, I don't think so. But he says, man, everything is in such close proximity. He's like pushing faders like a madman. I was feeling for you, believe me. I think it was me. I would have, after the entertainment, I would have threw in a QL5 in there and done it on a QL5.
If you could find one, now they're hard to find. Yamaha's not producing anything right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So next week, I got a big Hewlett Packard gig in Anaheim for about 7 days, and I got 2 prep days on PRG, Thursday and Friday, and then I'm on a roll. I got a bunch of corporate stuff. Hopefully nothing will cancel. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. Speaking of what's going on right now, I had to put on SoundBroker, I had to put a disclaimer on all my manufacturer A stock and B stock and on my website. And it's, if you go to SoundBroker, not that I'm promoting the site or not, but whatever, but I had to, because of what's going on, I had to put this notice out: due to related supply chain shortages and price increases by manufacturers, in order to ensure accuracy, all inquiries must be confirmed to guarantee pricing and availability prior to your order being accepted by SoundBroker. I've never had to do that before in the 25 years I've been running the company. So it's like crazy what's going on out there. There's just, if you need something with Dante, you're looking at June, July, and they can't even guarantee that it's going to be June or July. They just
can't get Dante chips at all. So I have a question for you, Jan, and anybody else who wants to chime in, because you guys are all very well connected with your console companies. I heard a vicious rumor when I was in, where the heck was I? When I was in Florida last week. 2 people told me, did you hear that Yamaha is going to discontinue the CL5 and the QL5? And I said, well, that'd be pretty stupid. I said, the new consoles, the PMs are absolutely beautiful consoles, but for AV companies, you can't go wrong with a QL5, and that would be very dumb. So have you guys at all heard anything about that rumor?
No.
No, and I haven't heard anything about that. I just know that Yamaha sales are way, 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 way down in regards to, the pecking order. It would seem to me now that the pecking order is Digico, Avid, and then Yamaha, and then all the rest. But the reality is Yamaha right now is just, they're, from my understanding, the last I heard, is their actual manufacturing is closed at this point in time. And so they can't produce any. But I did hear from a sound company that told me they just got in 2 brand new Yamaha boards. And I said, wow, that's hard.
Ravages?
No, they were not Ravages. They were
okay.
Ravages.
Because because Chad got his 3 Ravages. They're ready to go. So I don't even know if he's had them out on shows yet, but that surprised the hell out of me that his came in pretty quick. But I know the CLs and the QLs are pretty much non-existent at the moment. Yeah. And I'd heard about the chipsets for the Dante. You might as well forget that.
Yeah. And then also, they're having trouble getting any chips or parts. I mean, it's, no matter what the brand is, the only company that seems to be able to ship some stuff is Digico right now. There's a back order on the chain, and no matter what you're ordering, everybody is telling me that it's going to be, a couple of weeks, minimum a couple of weeks. And then, of course, there's the supply chain issues of not only the parts, but getting the stuff once it's ready to go. There's a shortage of truck drivers. There's a shortage of material itself. There's, all these different things that are happening out there, which makes it difficult. And then there's the price increases. Whereas And it used to be that you would get a price increase. It would be a gradual price increase. They would say, all right, we're going to be raising our prices in January 3%, and we'll honor all the prices up until then. But now, all of a sudden, I got a letter from a manufacturer last week. Basically, it was the 31st of January saying, as of tomorrow, not only will we not be able to ship, but all of our prices are going to go up 7%. I mean, instant. And they, of course, they sent the documentation, as we spoke about, from Plasma, about it's not just unique to one manufacturer. And I just read in the newspaper that inflation in the United States last month went up 7.5%. That's an awful lot of percentage for inflation,
Yeah.
So is anybody seeing anything other than what I'm talking about? Because I'm not in the United States. How are you seeing your lives being affected by what's happening in the marketplace?
Well, I can tell you that if I want anything Dante, that's a little tricky right now. And interestingly, I posed this question on social media earlier this week. There's a couple of manufacturers that I know of that forecasted the Dante chip shortage much better than anyone else did. And they went out and they stocked up. And I mean, tens upon tens of thousands of chips. What's happening now is, if you are not one of those two manufacturers, and there might be others, but I know of two for sure, you're having to redesign your products to go to virtual Dante, which doesn't require the chip. It actually, at that point, you're just using the Ethernet jack, and the Ethernet jack is carrying all your normal data that it would carry plus the Dante. There's some limitations, but when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. As a result of that, one manufacturer I was talking to said that he had to redesign his whole piece of equipment. In doing so, he had to switch to a different primary chip on the motherboard, but for some reason, he can get that chip for less money than the chip he was using previously. So now the same piece of gear costs him less to make because he's not paying for the Dante module, and he's paying less for his newfound primary chip. So he's selling the exact same product at 40% more profit now, as of a couple of weeks ago. So I'm kind of wondering if that carries out with more than a few manufacturers. By the end of this year, I think a lot of pieces of gear will be more likely to be found with virtual Dante than, let's call it, regular Dante, standard Dante, what we're all used to. And I wonder if those companies that stocked up on chips are going to find themselves at a disadvantage, because there might come a point in time where all of a sudden everybody goes, oh, you have a separate jack for Dante? I have to run a second cable? Why would I do that? I can just use the one RJ45. I don't want two RJ45s, and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of curious to see if that ends up backfiring on those manufacturers. I can confirm that the Yamaha plant is closed. They're not making anything much at the moment because they just don't have enough parts, and it's not just Dante chips, it's all sorts of parts. And I also got an email a couple of weeks ago from Meyer saying that demand has been so strong for all of their products that lead times are currently 12 to 16 weeks for anything. And all of their B stock, demos, returns, refreshed gear that came off of tours, which used to sell at an additional discount below dealer, there are no additional discounts. Whether something is new or B stock, it doesn't matter. It's the same price.
Well, we have an expert in the room, Ken Porter. He can talk about that, how he feels, because he's got a thriving company out there in Nashville. Ken, how are you being affected?
Where's this thriving company?
Nashville. By the way, isn't there a trade show going down there somewhere next soon?
There is in May, but actually before then, just next week, the AES chapter, Nashville chapter, will be holding their boot camp.
Will you be here?
No, you're kidding.
Mike
I will be in Nashville next Wednesday. I will be on the call.
If you owe anybody money and you want to corner them, that's the time to get them right there in Nashville. You know exactly where it'll be, the time and date. Thanks for sharing, Mike.
Well, coming back to the question, Mike, is Yamaha had developed the twin lane program, and all the stuff when they brought out the Ravage back 5 years ago, and they weren't, that was better. It had better connectivity and all that stuff there. Why can they not make twin lane right now if they're having problems with Dante chips?
I would guess a couple of things. They put that on the shelf and now they would have to revisit it, which would require a lot of people higher up signing off on a lot of stuff that they maybe don't fully understand. So they're going to be hesitant to sign it.
All my consoles run on twin lane right now.
Do they? Yeah, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure, like Alan and Heath has kind of seized the bull by the horns. And because they have a Dante module shortage, they're busy promoting, I forget their name for their link protocol that works just fine. I had a church going in last fall that I was told the best I could hope for is I would get the Dante module around this time, which means I couldn't get final payment. Literally whatever it was, $500, $600 module was going to keep me from getting my final payment on this 5-figure church install. And they said, or you could just flip it to this and swap this piece out. And I think I ended up being a little out of pocket on it, $800-900, but project finished, final payment paid, right? So I would, Alan and Heath has made that flip and I think done so pretty well. I don't know if Yamaha has an existing technology that's comparable. I don't know why they wouldn't be all over it.
That I don't understand, because I asked if we get Dante cards, can we still get twin lane cards? And they're like, no, we can't do that right now. But I don't get a good answer.
Well, is there such a thing as planned obsolescence from the manufacturer? And could this be one of those things?
I mean, yes, there is such a thing as planned obsolescence. It happens all the time. Could it be one of those things? Yes, but in the face of the current situation, you'd think they'd reverse it, unless it's also yet another chip that they can't get.
Well, going back to my experience with Avid and the original, the profile series, the reason why they discontinued that profile series is because they lost the patent for the DSP engine, is my understanding. Now, that might not be correct. Like I said, everything's an opinion. This is just something that I heard in the rumor mill, but it's possible that, that Yamaha might have been in the same position where they no longer have the rights or the ability to use that particular technology.
Well, the profile was out, almost 12, 14 years before they started trailing down. So it was out. It ran for quite a while.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. And it's still running. It's still a requested board. People are still using it. There are plenty of them out there.
But the Ravage was only 5 years old.
Yeah. And you're right. You're 100% correct. So what's happening in your neck of the woods as far as materials and being able to provide your clients what they need?
Well, Meyer, being what they said, 14 weeks. Is that what they said, Mike? That's pretty good. When I placed one the other day with DMB and it was like September deliveries estimate, maybe. And I had some pieces that went all the way back to November. I'm told the same thing's happening at L Acoustics too. So I'm not sure who has what. The one speaker manufacturer I see that's probably holding up pretty good at the moment has been Martin Audio. They seem to have pretty good delivery times that can make, if you got to do an install and it's got a time frame on it, you can figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah, Renkus Hines also, other than their Dante variants, but anything else, build to order, they said they'll start cutting the wood within 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. And I was talking to RCF. They can't even guarantee anything at all till midsummer.
It's that new Myers Panther system that I keep seeing advertised on LinkedIn.
They their initial run for Panther was supposed to be 800 box, and right now 800 boxes, and right now they have over 2,200 sold.
They had
And that
800
basically,
they had 800 in order the first week of January before they released it.
yeah, it's a nice technology. They're making it smaller and lighter. It's going to replace the Lion. And basically, you know, all those guys that got invested, you know, the hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Lion system, all of a sudden they're saying, whoa, you know, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? And, you know, it's an, you know, talking about planned obsolescence, but that's basically what's going to happen. It's going to basically incur the wrath of those people that have made a huge investment. But I guess that's the risk you take as a sound company owner.
Right, but I mean, Lion has been out at least 8 years, at least, maybe longer.
And I would think a lot of those are already paid for, so it's not like they're going to be out of pocket.
Right, and you know, at least for me, when customers ask me when should we be thinking, you know, they buy a new system and they're like, how long should this last us? I'm like, well, you should be planning on in about 5 years replacing it, simply because there'll be something much better available, and within 10 years because you don't want it to leave you stranded. So I think when someone's at 7 to 8 years, if they were one of the first people in Lion, I don't know, I think that's pretty good. You know,
Lion's more like 5 years, and 2.5 of it was spent in the pandemic.
no, I installed Lion boxes in 2015, and it had already been out for a while.
What kind of venue did you put Lions in? Because that's a huge dispersion box. It's you know, designed for you know,
2,700 seat church.
Mhm. Wow, that's a lot of power for a 2,700 seat church, depending on how many Lions you put up.
3 per side.
Ken Porter's laughing.
Three per side.
Just enough to make the
Does-
array work.
Does 3 even work?
Wouldn't that have been a Danley 3 per side or one? No, it's 1 per side on Danley. Excuse me.
It was 3 per side, and then 4 1100s in the center. Plus, we had a center cluster. I don't remember what the center cluster was, but the center cluster was kicked way down, and then we had a whole the stage proscenium built into the proscenium were alcoves for UP juniors. UP juniors? Yeah, I think UP juniors.
So
Mhm.
coming back to the Panther question, does anybody know what they did or how the amp is? Because they said it's a new generation amp, and I'm wondering if it's one of the new, if it's a high voltage amp or not.
It's supposed to be that high voltage D class, hybrid D class, whatever. I saw it at one of the tech groups.
Do you have some information that you want to share about the Panther?
I've got some information that we'll talk about later.
Okay, I mean, about the amplifier, do you know anything about it?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay, well, we'll talk about it later. There you go. So there you have it. So now just a little bit of promotion here. So if you want to know about the amplifier, you got to come in on the after show when we're not broadcasting to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So there you go. That's another reason for you to come in. Okay. So moving on, what's going on in Las Vegas, Mike? Let's change the subject a little bit. What's happening in Las Vegas? What's going on now? Now, Tina has done a little bit of research, and it seems that the way to go is save lives. People are driving on the wrong side of the highway. What's going on there? The results were impressive. However, basically 42 people died driving the wrong way on the Las Vegas freeways. What is happening there?
I don't know. I'm not a traffic guy. What do you?
That's suicide. That's
I'm an
people who
AV
decide to kill
installer.
Yeah, people are trying to kill themselves. That's what that is.
People are
No,
drinking-
so a lot of it is
drinking-
drunk people, honestly. A lot of them are
Exactly.
drunk. Some of them, yes, are trying to commit suicide and take a few people with them, but a lot of it is just drunk people. And the other challenge you run into here, in my experience, this is just my opinion, because again, I'm not a traffic person. If you're driving on the strip or anywhere near the strip, it's very common to see lots of cars that don't have their headlights on because there's so much ambient light that you just don't realize you don't have your headlights on. And I think some of those people then get off the strip, they're going back to Cali or going home or going to the hotel on the west side of town, whatever, and they forget they don't have their headlights on. They can't see very well because once you get away from the strip, the ambient lighting isn't as good. And we have some of those, I forget what they call the highway intersections where it's not like a perfect H, where it kind of curves. And it's really easy to get disoriented as to which is the on-ramp and which is where you're supposed to be. So I think some of it's that too. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But what's happening in Vegas? Vegas, I'm excited. The countdown has begun to Super Bowl 24. And let me tell you, if you go to my website, I now have countdowns. Because Super Bowl 24, not next year's Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl in 2024, not Super Bowl 24 as in the number, but 2024, 723 days until the Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. Which means all of my clients need to do their AV upgrades next year. So we're starting to talk about that already, believe it or not, because they got to get on CapEx. So I've got one book that we're going to redo their head end here shortly. And in that same book, we're going to redo all their video screens next year. And bring them
Now,
up.
don't you have the Pro Bowl coming in? Isn't the Pro Bowl going into Las Vegas?
Pro Bowl just happened. Just happened 2 weekends ago. Yeah, 2 weekends ago. It's always the weekend before the Super Bowl. So
what do they have coming? Isn't there another big sporting event going into
the draft? The NFL draft is coming. By the way, if you're going to NAB or CinemaCon or the NFL draft, they're all at the same time. If you don't have your hotel room yet, good luck, because they all overlap each other. That's coming up in April. As a matter of fact, I got my reminder email from NAB right here. I have to reconfirm my registration.
I've gotten that 2 days in a row.
Same here. So I'm just going to keep reconfirming. I'm assuming I've probably signed up multiple times in the past is the issue. And that's why I'm getting multiple emails, but I just keep reconfirming. The mask mandate is gone in Nevada as of last Thursday. Although oddly enough, most people are still wearing their masks. Apparently, once it became a choice, people were okay with it. But when you tell them to wear a mask, they're not going to wear a damn mask.
As it should be.
But, well, yes, maybe no.
Choice. So California, I think, is pretty much done too, except for LA County, right?
Well, actually, it's speaking in broader terms, Coachella and Stagecoach just dropped the vaccination requirement, testing, and mask requirements. So now if you're going to Stagecoach or Coachella, you don't have to even be vaccinated or have a mask or anything else like that. So
yeah, our mask mandate ended last Thursday. You still have to wear it, obviously, at the airport, on the planes. You have to wear it on all public transportation, which includes taxi and ride hailing, Uber and Lyft. But in the general public, you don't have to. Some businesses are still requiring it. I went to Harbor Freight today. They require it. I went to Home Depot right afterwards. They do not require it, but I was surprised. Most people were wearing it. Went grocery shopping this weekend. Most people were wearing it. So I've been in 3 high schools in the last week, and the students by far are mostly wearing their masks. Like not even, like I'd say better than 90%. So I think most people are kind of like taking a wait and see approach. Like, we tried this once before and it didn't work out so well. So let's take our time, which I'm happy for.
Jumping back to the traffic thing, isn't there like a new freeway, a new highway that kind of goes past the strip there? And there's all kinds of construction that was going on in December when we came through Vegas. And I could see where maybe some of that wrong way confusion was just all this construction that's going on in town.
Yeah, there's no new freeways, but on the south side, the 215, which runs at that particular section east-west, they were widening it to add another lane in each direction. And currently now they're completely reconfiguring the downtown section of 93/95 which is the highway that you would take if you were coming up from Arizona. And
We were coming down from Seattle. So I was on 93, 95, but then we got on some new freeway at some number I'd never heard of before. It's all brand new asphalt, brand new reflect. I mean, it was like they had just opened.
Interstate 11?
Maybe that's what it was.
So Interstate 11 is the corridor between Las Vegas and Phoenix, and it was just approved a couple of years ago. And up until then, so basically portions of 93, 95 have now become Interstate 11. Once you get south of Boulder, it's the same old 93, 95, but eventually it will be Interstate 11 all the way to Phoenix, 3 lanes, both directions. And whatever that little town is in the middle of Arizona that has like 42 residents and 8 of them are traffic cops on brand new motorcycles, that little town is going to make bank.
It's like Colfax is up in Spokane.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful highway. But I could see where the confusion would be, because there was all these traffic cones and the lighting wasn't done yet, and so I could see where people could be going the wrong way, at least in December. Now it's been a couple months, so maybe they've got that put together now.
Yeah.
What I noticed was North Las Vegas up to Nellis was pretty much a mess with construction, and things were moving, so it's not very easy to get around on it.
Yeah, we have lots of construction. A lot of that federal stimulus money has hit. So pretty much every neighborhood in town that's older is getting new utilities, fiber. And then, the argument is, well, as long as you got the road ripped open, we might as well replace water and sewer. So it's tough to get around on the east side of town right now.
Even on the strip down there by the MGM and that area, seemed like that was all tore up.
Yeah, some of that was the utility work, and some of it was the bollards. The bollards are all finally installed all the way up and down the strip. Something like 10,000 of them. So
what is that?
They're these steel posts, 6-inch steel posts, 1/4-inch wall with concrete poured in them, and they actually go under the sidewalk. So the entire sidewalk gets ripped out. They're kind of L-shaped, and this is the part you see, and this part is under the sidewalk, and it's to prevent those terrorist truck attacks where somebody just takes a truck and plows through the sidewalk. Yeah, these things are, from what I gather, you could hit them with a semi at full speed, and the semi is just going to fall apart. And they installed about 10,000 of them on the Las Vegas Strip.
Wow, very impressive. We were talking about the highways, and the United States is about to spend $5 billion on a network of electric vehicle charging stations. And I wonder if that is also being implemented in Las Vegas as $5 billion across the United States. But it would seem to me that would be right now something that would be starting to go, because it seems like electric cars are the way they're going. By the way, that brings me into also the Super Bowl commercial did anybody see that commercial with Austin Powers with General Motors?
Yes.
It's basically General Motors is really now saying, hey, we are going to go electric. Ford is going electric with their Lightning truck. It seems like that truck, you can't even buy one if you want to right now. But it seems like we as a country are really going to start to move into the electric vehicle with a big force very shortly.
Well, like all the comments they had on the Sopranos remake, and people were saying, oh, they left this out and they left that out. And it's just funny how people just, I don't know.
So the question I wonder about is, if we get to electric vehicles, how are we going to fund the interstate system, since we have 12 to 15% to 25% cents per gallon of tax for interstate repair and operation and stuff there? How are they going to do that on electric? What are they going to start doing? So many miles driven on electric vehicle tracking? How are they going to do this?
They'll probably jack up the registrations.
Well, that would be on a state level, not a federal level. And so, yeah, they're going to have, they were thinking about doing that, taxing you basically on the amount of miles you drive. but that really didn't go over very well with the constituents of the United States. And I don't know what they're going to do. Eventually, I guess, we'll figure it out. But at this moment in time, we don't know. But I do know that the post office is now going to go with all electric trucks. And, Benjamin Franklin, he was the first postmaster general. And now the government is going to be, basically, I don't know if you guys know this, but the post office is not really part of the U.S. government. It's not really a government agency. It's a government
That is
agency.
correct, just like NASA.
Yeah. And anyway, but they've been, I mean, it just seems to me that they've never really run the post office correctly. Like, for example, one of the things that they did is who would do something like this where basically they pre-fund the insurance on all their employees. And that's by mandate. I guess there were some powerful lobbyists that got that. I mean, just imagine hiring an employee and you got to pre-fund his whole career into insurance.
It's the retirement.
Yeah.
The retirement benefits. It's even more than insurance.
Yeah. And so now there's a bill that's going to run in Congress. It's probably going to get passed that they're going to end all of that nonsense. But I mean, they're going to go with electric vehicles. They're going to raise the price of postage. And I mean, we need the post office. The post office is still the best way to get a letter to somebody, and it's also the least expensive way. You guys use the post office anymore? Or is basically everybody doing electronic bill paying?
I was just there yesterday.
I use it all the time.
One of the things about the post office is that it was shot down, but maybe it'll come back, is that there are other things that can happen at the post office to bring in revenue. They could do check cashing. They could do shipping, and better than they do it now. That they were not allowed to do that by the people who, under George Bush, they wanted to try and privatize the post office. So they did nothing to help it out at all. They wanted it to go broke. And that way they could get their buddies to have their own private, privatize the post office. And fortunately, it was shot down. But part of that was not allowing the post office to improve itself to where it becomes self-sufficient. So maybe that's going to finally change.
Well, one of the things that I always thought that the post office should do is they should get into email. And the way they could do it right now is they can sell you an email address. And I'm talking about not giving it away, but actually selling it to you. And that way they could prevent you from getting spam. If everybody had to buy an email address, then it would be able to be monitored so that you wouldn't have, it would eliminate spam. I thought that would be something that technology of a new system from the post office could actually work.
But junk mail's keeping the post office going.
Well, they don't call that junk mail, Ken.
Yeah, but did you know if you pay for a post office box, they don't have to put that stuff in your box?
They don't, as a matter of fact.
They don't have to put that stuff in there. If they have to deliver it to you, they have to deliver it to you. But if you go rent a post office box, you can say, I don't want that stuff in my box, and they're not obligated to put it in there.
And I remember, I have to tell you, I had to stop all mail delivery to my house because I've been traveling for years. And so what I would do is when I would get home after traveling, there would be one slip in my box saying, hey, you've got mail and we're holding it for you. And then I would go to the post office and I would find that 95% of it was news flyers from the local supermarket, that was just jamming up the box. So I stopped it. And basically, I have really moved to electronic delivery of all my bills. But there are certain things that you can't stop. But for the most part, but the mailman comes to my office every day, but I don't get any mail to the house. Everything goes to the office. How are you guys handling your mail? You do a lot of traveling. How do you handle your mail? I mean, Fred, are you ever home? Do you know where you live anymore?
No, The only time we ever put ours on hold is when we go someplace, both of us, but somebody's always home.
Yeah. It seems like when you travel a lot, when you're on the road, it's, do you remember where you live, but of course, the last 2 years, everybody's been more or less at home, so anyway, let's see what else is going on. The SBA, there's new government contracting resources. This is National Entrepreneurship Week, February 12th to 19th. So we're still there. And there's a lot of programs. I was up on the SBA site, and I will throw up a link to the SBA.gov funding programs. So if you're looking for some money for whatever reason that you might want to find some money, the SBA might be the way to go. And so I will throw that link up on the chat as well, or Tina will, and I will send it over here to YouTube and Facebook, or I'll send it to YouTube. Tina's sending it to Facebook. Has anybody used the SBA for anything?
I got an email from them. Actually, I've gotten several emails from them saying I qualify for a grant and I need to apply, and I just haven't found the time.
You mean lately or in the last 2 years?
Lately, I've gotten these in the last 3 months.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from them lately, but we did 2 SBA loans during the peak of COVID, and they granted it to us. So
no, and this specifically says it's a grant, and I won't have to pay it back.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I haven't heard from them lately.
Time, but I haven't.
Yeah, I reached out during the COVID times and didn't qualify, and I said, please don't, send me stuff again. And of course, I'm on their mailing list now, so I get stuff every 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what else is going on? Anybody have anything they want to share? Anything that's pressing on their mind that they would like to talk to the world about?
I posted on LinkedIn. I posted a poll on Monday. Was it Monday or was it Tuesday? I forget now. No, it was Tuesday. It's yesterday. Asking, in people's opinion, what was the best halftime show ever? Was it this last one, this past Sunday? Was it Prince? Was it Madonna in 2012? Had great production value, lots of video mapping. Or was it MJ in 93? And then,
but what about Lady Gaga? I thought she did a great job as well.
She did, but LinkedIn only allows for 4 options. And so we went with the 4 that I like. Because it's my poll, not your poll.
That's a toss-up for me. Either Michael Jackson or Prince. I don't know which. I mean, they're all good. But.
So MJ, if you get a chance to see it on the web, you should see it on the web, because the interesting thing about MJ is the first 2 minutes, he just stands there. He doesn't do anything. Literally just stands there like, I'm MJ and I'm the only one who can pull this shit off. But the cool thing about MJ too, it was the break. MJ was when they finally decided, okay, no more Disney, no more Up With People, no more marching band competitions. We're going to do a show. And so that's where it started. But anyway, Prince is killing it. 63% of the vote. We'll call that 2/3.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people say that Prince, the best show, that best halftime show ever was Prince. I don't even remember it, so I guess I'm gonna have to watch it on YouTube.
Wasn't it raining like hell too?
You can watch bits of it on YouTube, but the only video I found on YouTube of the entire concert, start to finish, is being played backwards. So I would have to capture it. Yeah, that way the NFL doesn't find it, because the bots can't, because everything's backwards, so the bots don't pick up on it. So I'd have to capture it and then flip it. I'd have to put it in software or something to flip it, because it's, it's 15 minutes long. But I thought this past Sunday's was pretty good too. That one's running second with 21% of the vote.
That was very good. It was very good. It seemed interesting to me that they were only performing to one side of the stadium. That I thought that was kind of strange that they didn't perform in a 360, because there was 35,000 people on each side.
I think most artists try to at least do the token, face the other side once in a while. But I think Dre probably thought, you know what? I'm paying $10 million out of my own pocket to produce this shit. I'm just going to face one way and be done with it. Because I didn't realize the NFL doesn't pay anyone for the halftime show.
You would
I
think
thought
with
Pepsi
97
paid.
cameras, they could carry
Really?
it to the side.
Yeah, no, either the artists or the artist label or the production company, somebody has to foot that bill.
I thought it was Pepsi because it's called
Oh, Pepsi.
Pepsi Halftime Show.
Yeah,
It-
Pepsi does, and they
It
make
could
all
be
the ad.
Pepsi, it could be Pepsi, but the NFL doesn't know. And I'm pretty sure Pepsi pays the NFL for the right to call it the Pepsi halftime show. None of those Pepsi dollars went to anybody but the NFL.
Wow, that's kind of interesting. Because you would think, why would someone, I guess to expand their audience, but by the time you get to perform at the Super Bowl, you're a household name anyway.
You'd think, yeah.
But
But-
more than that, the expenses of that you're putting together your show. You just don't do your stage show. You have to do a completely new, revamped version. With,
Yeah, one article I read was that this past Sunday's show cost almost $10 million, and that came out of Dr. Dre's bank account.
You know, he can afford it if anybody could afford it.
He can, but by the same token, none of the dancers were paid.
That's impossible because I saw on one of the interviews is that they were in rehearsal for 8 weeks. How could they possibly be?
And I remember
not get
reading
paid
an
for 8
article
weeks?
about 3 or 4 weeks ago about dancers complaining about being in 2-a-day rehearsals 7 days a week for 6 weeks and not getting paid a penny. Because the 2-a-days was killing their ability to make a dollar somewhere else.
Yeah, that would be, and not only that, if any, just from a technical standpoint of view, if any one of them would have gotten injured and they weren't an employee, well, because in California, you have to be an employee, if I'm correct, right? They didn't change that law, right, Bruce? David?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not. Nobody's bothered me yet, so they could talk about it all they want. I'm not W-2ing for anybody, and nobody's giving me any shit about it. So,
Right. Well, okay. So basically,
I don't know. I don't know.
They probably
listen,
relaxed that.
When they got hired, they were hired at a certain pay rate, which wasn't very high. And then in today or yesterday's paper, I saw there was some technicality with the union, and so they never got paid at all. So they were supposed to have gotten paid, but they didn't. Like Mike says, but
Crazy.
at least at one point they were supposed to. It was never free from the beginning.
I mean, I get capitalism. I get that the answer to the question, why would the NFL charge $10,000 to $20,000 per ticket to see a game and then not pay anyone? The answer to that question is because they can. But still, that's crazy. I hate that.
Well,
I
the
will
other
say
thing
this, the Super Bowl here in Las Vegas is 2 years away. And if you go to the website, they're already letting people know they're going to need 10,000 volunteers to work the Super Bowl.
So it's 2 years or 1 year?
2 years, 2024, the Super Bowl will be.
Where's next year then?
Arizona.
Oh, I thought it was going to Vegas. So the question then is, with the rules, so everybody who volunteers and works the Super Bowl has to have their 10 hours of OSHA and all that stuff?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I'll be waiting. Oh yeah, I'll be curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, they'll waive it all. Watch, because they can.
Maybe that's a technicality that happened in LA.
I don't know how they would. It's an entertainment event, and the law is very clear here. All entertainment technicians must have at least their OSHA 10, and anyone who either works as a technician works by themselves, so therefore they are supervising themselves, or works in a supervisory role must have their OSHA 30. That was a huge deal here just a couple of years ago when that passed. It's actually law.
Yeah. So that's something that might be law, but there's a lot of laws on the books. That's why they're called lawmakers, not law taker awayers. When they get in there, the politicians become lawmakers. It just seems that it's easy for them to pass laws, but it's hard for them to take them off the books once they do become law. And some of the laws are just antiquated.
Is this part of your comedy routine?
I was thinking about that the other day when I came up with this joke about money, about how money is very romantic, well, This is not the time or place for jokes, but let's say, or maybe it is, but you're not going to hear one from me.
Well, my question is that if we've been a country that had a Congress for 240 years or whatever, when do we have enough laws?
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to have enough laws, otherwise they wouldn't have a job. But that's another story, completely. But we've got two people in the room that we haven't seen in a while, and I haven't heard from Michael, and I haven't heard from I haven't heard from Greg in a while. So what's going on with you guys? What's going on, Michael? All right, Michael doesn't want to talk. What about Greg? What's happening?
I'm downstream from Fred's amazing mixes and Stanford, and having a pretty good time on the USA Network, downstreaming mixes for the Scripps stations on an Allen and Heath, Fred.
Yeah, I was just talking to the engineer this afternoon. I've mixed on every surface in that plant. So the Brio, the Artemis, the Apollo, and the Allen and Heath. I did rugby on the Allen Heath. Oh, and the glass mixer. That's the Ross Carbonite Expression, whatever hybrid thing that was that glass mixer that I had to touch.
CPU
my fingers couldn't do it.
Absolutely. So I've been looking for a chance. I missed you on Friday. But I got pulled away because of the crap that's going on in in Ukraine for a day. So yeah. I also want to give out a shout, Jan, to our resident foodie, Kurt Hare.
Yes, Kurt needs to become a chef. He should get out of the sound business and just become a chef. I second that.
Because that's so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're not following him on Facebook, maybe in the chat, you guys everybody could put in their Facebook, the link to their Facebook page, so that everybody in the room can follow you. That way, it would be private. It wouldn't be up on the internet. And then also, I could also tag you, so that you can be in the. Ken Porter, do you have Facebook? Because I looked for you and I couldn't find you on Facebook at all. I only found Spectrum Sound. And I don't know how. Oh, Michael. But Ken, what do you think? Facebook Meta is not for you?
No, he's muted. Unmute him.
By the way, just one thing I threw again in the chat, because you mentioned right down the street from Fred. There was a really interesting, we talked about this in the very beginning, I think just before we went live, that there was a NBC documentary from the local station in Connecticut that showed how they were doing the Olympics from remote locations. And I threw that link back in the chat, in the very beginning of the chat, from at the very end of the chat, so you can see it right now. It's pretty cool what they've done.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. I mean, Fred, you're in right there at the Nexus. I mean, it's really cool what they're doing. And for me, as an old guy, getting the downstream stems, and I could still tweak a little bit. But it's extremely cool.
So how is my short track? Because when I listen to them back, I can't hear what I'm mixing. I'm sitting right in front of the right speaker. I'm listening to a down mix. But when I do a playback, it seems like the gnats are a little hot. But then I go over into the listening room and I go, wow, this is really cool. It's an Atmos room. It's literally right next door. And it's pretty cool.
Why?
The big problem that I had, basically was in figure skating, to where crowd noise was way high in the mix. And, you know, I had to rebalance. You couldn't hear the talking heads, you know.
Well, and that's what I figured out on my first day, because I was passing all the Atmos stuff through as a prefab.
Right.
It comes in from the truck and it was just a pass through. And I went in the listening room and I went, whoa. So I figured out a way to VCA all those height mics onto my feed. So as soon as they on my speed skating or my short track, as soon as they would blow the whistle, I dropped the effects 10 dB so that the crowd doesn't overpower the announcers. So you hear them take off out of the blocks like gangbusters, but then I pull it back, and it
was a good mix on what's her name that did the 500 meter. That was phenomenal. So if that was you, props.
That was me. She's in Wisconsin, and my play-by-play guy's in San Francisco. Today was my last day, so I don't get to do any more of that. I don't know what I'm doing for the next.
I'm released as well. So I did the first week, and so now I'm just waiting for the 60-day check to come in.
They're not a direct feed from the playback, because it's like on all the skating, it sounds like an open mic in an arena, and you hear all of the reflections of the track. Why don't they just go to the track?
It's the way OBS laid it out. All the stuff comes as a world feed. We have no control of it. But I did see the mic layout in the ice. I don't know what kind of mics they are, but there's 12 mics in the ice. And then
all right.
It doesn't sound like there's any direct feed. When they cue the music for them to start, you hear music playing through the PA in the arena. You don't hear a direct feed. And then and I think I might have heard the direct feed and the music in the arena, and that it's out of time and it's all slap echoey.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, because it's a world feed, we're not in control. And the guy that's upstream of me doesn't get any of the camera mics. So, when they decide to track the camera mics, like when at the end, they're all going, yay, and they're high-fiving each other and whatever, occasionally you'll get to hear a little tiny bit of that, but we have no control. That comes on the world feed.
It also seems weird that at no point do they cut to the commentators. I haven't seen a single commentator on camera while they're doing the event.
Well, we don't have any cameras.
No, they're
because they're all in a voiceover booth, or they're on an at-home kit. I can look down the thing and see my commentators on a Teams meeting that the producer is looking at them, but there's no cameras. There's no cameras in the talent kits.
They're not actually standing at the event. They're doing it all.
No, they're all remote.
Yeah, that's
right.
I think there's 36 voiceover booths in 2 of the big studios, and my 2 announcers, my play-by-play guys in San Francisco, my color announcers in Wisconsin. They're on at-home kits, so there's no cameras.
That's what I figured.
How are they not stepping on each other?
They do step on each other.
So where is Tara and the other guys, the figure skating announcers?
Oh, that they're in. Are they in Stanford, Fred?
I don't know. I haven't mixed figure skating. I'm assuming they are. I mean, there's, like I said, there's like 40 voiceover booths. You walk into these huge studios, and there's nothing in them but voiceover booths.
Well, I've seen it several times. They had all 3 of them standing there. 3 of them standing there, and I figured there's shots, but it had to be in the studio somewhere.
No, it's virtual backgrounds. They're not in China. There's only Fred, you're upstream more than I am, but
only the mix zone reporters are actually in China. The people that do the post whatever interviews.
The interview,
right?
All of the talent are either in Stanford or they're at home.
So the other question for you too is, why did NBC drop the NBC Sports Network like a month before the Olympics? Like closed the whole thing down and moved everything to USA?
But USA is the acquisition network, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, USA got bought by NBC, and because they have Peacock now, they dropped NBCSN.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on with the television. I have Hulu now. I switched from YouTube TV, and I'm finding it very difficult with Hulu. I don't know if you guys are watching. Like, for example, I wanted to record the Super Bowl because of the time frame difference. So I wanted to watch it at my leisure. But it turns out that the way Hulu works is that if it's recording something, you can't start in the beginning while it's recording. You have to come in when it's recording, which is crazy. And I can't seem to find a lot of the shows that I want to record that are now on other like, for example, I like SEAL Team, but I can't seem to get SEAL Team to record on Hulu for whatever reason. Has anybody finding that out, with the different services now, with Peacock, with Hulu, with YouTube TV, with all these different TV services out there? What are you guys using? I mean,
well,
would be the best.
Specifically to your point, Jan, yeah, in Thailand, your best option is to go to YouTube. Pay for the extra money for YouTube video, and you're going to get it. I do have a question regarding the Super Bowl, David. Who did the mix for halftime? Do you know? You're there. You're muted.
I saw an interesting article in LDI. Let me see if I have it. And maybe while you guys are talking about it, I will see if I could find who did the mix.
David, do you know? I mean, you're on the ground. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, my first thought would be one of the ATK guys, Michael Stewart or Patrick Balsell, but I don't know for sure who it was.
Yeah, it was a good mix, definitely. And then I went to sleep.
I got lucky. I turned on the TV right as they were starting it. I watched the halftime show and I turned it off. I didn't see a moment of the game.
Well, it was a pretty good game.
All the playoffs and the Super Bowl this year were really close games, overtime, a lot of them very, very close.
Last minute lead changes, a lot.
Yeah, which is very exciting. And as I was watching it, and I was trying to explain to my girlfriend who couldn't understand, I said, when somebody scored a touchdown or a field goal, they said, a lot of money just exchanged hands in Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody who bet on the Bengals won. Everybody who bet on the Rams lost the spread,
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it. It's that it doesn't matter if who wins the game from a gambling standpoint of view, but what the spread is.
Right.
Well, I have a new sport that everybody has to look up. This is the most unbelievable. Our whole control room was just going nuts with this while we were sitting around waiting for the edit.
Don't say curly.
No, kabaddi. They shoot it in India in a Sheraton hotel, and they have all this virtual. It's basically tag. Remember the game tag when you were a little kid? Look up kabaddi. Look up the Wikipedia definition of kabaddi. It is an outstanding game, and the production is unbelievable. It's streamed.
Fred, how do you spell kabaddi?
ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. KABADDI. It is the most insane thing. We our whole control room was just going nuts over this. I had to close the door a couple times because we were making so much noise.
Oh, that's fun. And it's a game of tag.
Leave it to the Indians.
Yeah, it's a game of tag. It's shot in a Sheraton hotel in India.
Oh, that sounds like it's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. Anyway.
By the way, has anybody heard that they redid the Hollywood sign to say Rams House? Have you heard about this?
Oh, is there a picture?
I'm going to show you a picture in a second, but they got, they did it without talking to any of the neighbors. They got some company who's, you got to admit, it's 40-foot letters, so they got some company to make it, and everybody said they should have called Caltech because they're the only ones who did it right. This is
Right.
embarrassing what they did. I'm gonna have a picture. I took it. It's right outside my house, right? So I'll find it
Yeah,
for you. in a
David,
second.
David, if you have never been to David's house, which most of you haven't, he lives right underneath the Hollywood sign up on the top of the Hollywood.
Which you'll
Hills.
see because I'm going to show you the sign. Let's see.
Are you right down the street from the house that they shot the series Bosch in?
Which series?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Bosch. It's like a cop show. This house is gorgeous. It's all glass. It hangs out over a cliff. Looks out over LA. It's beautiful.
That's not. I don't think that's my canyon.
Yeah.
That might be Laurel Canyon or Cahuenga Pass has a couple of those.
But he does have a house that's right across the street from him, which is like a castle.
Yes. If you ever saw Spinal Tap, that's the gazebo.
Oh.
All right. So let's see. If I do this, I'll show it to you in a second. I put it on my screen. I blow it up. I make it big, and then I go to you guys. All right. So share screen. I got the sun in my eyes.
And then Jan will have to pin it so we can all see it big.
Okay, well, when I
All
see
right.
it, there it is.
Now look what a shit job that is.
Can you
That
see it?
Oh man.
I mean, first
Yeah.
of all, it should have been in dark blue and gold. Whoever
Right.
decided to put flowers on the side of the letters is an idiot. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, but look at all the RF up
Oh,
in the
yeah.
upper right-hand corner.
And that's all civic. There isn't one commercial, nothing commercial on it. It's all government and city.
Wow.
And for
Yeah,
me
but
to get
that's serious RF.
for me to get digital television, I have to go through my mountain to another mountain. So I don't get anything on any antenna, no matter how strong it is.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so let me ask you something, Greg. So those are all circular, and that's RF.
Yeah, that's all microwave. That's a long wave microwave transmission. Probably, I mean, Joe can correct me, but yeah. I mean, it's just a massive amount of spectrum. That's the reason why I was totally impressed that there weren't any dropouts at SoFi during the halftime show because of all the RF there that's right at the end of the LAX. I mean, if you fly a Jan, when you come home to pay your taxes, you're going to fly into LAX and, look down, get a window seat and look down, and you're going to see SoFi Stadium there. And yeah. God bless the RF guys on that gig.
Did you watch the 2 hours of pre-show and hear how many dropouts there were in that?
Yeah, I did. And I laughed and I switched over to the Puppy Bowl.
Hey, well, before we say goodbye to the people on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, I just want to say, Michael, are you in the room? Do you want to say anything? Is there anything that you want to share? We haven't heard from you, and so just want to know what you're up to and how you've been doing. And it's good to see you.
I'm up to about 6 foot.
Really, that tall?
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, just life, man. Another day in life.
Yeah,
That's
what
good.
gigs you got going on?
Right now it's just some install stuff and a wedding.
Ah,
Now, are the Beach Boys going back out?
Yes, I'm not going.
Are you not going to go on this one? Okay. Well,
so
very
I
good.
won't see you. I won't see you at the Strawberry Festival then, Michael. I'd show up just to go ahead and tap you on the shoulder. Maybe I'll wear a Night Bob shirt or something.
No, there's going to be people involved this year that I just rather not.
Okay. Well, Anyway, listen, we're going to stay in the room, but I am going to say goodbye to the people on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. And thank you all. We have a bunch of people watching according to the text messages that I've been getting from LinkedIn, that a lot of people are watching on LinkedIn today. So thanks for coming by. Just remember, you make it happen. Stay safe and stay healthy. And everything you heard today is an opinion, so do your own research. And with that, we will see you again next week for our 92nd meeting. And till then, again, stay safe and healthy. And as I always say, you make it happen. So go out and make it happen and have a great week. Until next.